Okay, in the previous clip, you'll see me, I cut off all these noses here. There used to be carpet on these stairs. There's two ways to do it. Either you can build out the riser so it comes flush with the nose here, or cut it off. You're going to be adding that back on too with your stair nosing. Before I start, the very first thing is I'm going to go through each step, and I'm going to knock down any nails, any staples that might be sticking up, anything that's going to make these not sit flat. So let's do that. I've already done this riser here, and you're going to see how I finish this out. This is a little bit tricky. You know, sometimes you'll see a MDF piece up through there, but I'll do it a little bit differently. I always start at the bottom. So this riser, you know, I measured from here to here, and we want to be flush with the top of this stair here. I'll take a measurement. I've already cut the nosing here, so every nosing's a little bit different, but I have pretty much that much to play with. I'd like to see it butt up right against here. I'm going to 45 this nosing right there, so I want to come all the way out to that edge, which is pretty much right on. I've already done that. And then what I've done is I've drawn a line up to where this nosing will come here, so there's a clear line of where that will sit. Just take my pencil and I will run it right along there. It gives me a place to measure from it too. Okay, so we are at, we're going to call it 9.5, pretty much all the way across. So I'm going to go and make sure I need two pieces. My pieces are 7.5. So 2 pieces, and I need it to end up being about, we'll call it 9 3/8. Okay, this is tongue and groove laminate. So I cut the tongue off of one side, or groove, or whatever you want to call it, but I've cut one side off. Okay, and that leaves me, we've got about right at 7.5 on the face. Okay, I need another 1 7/8 inch piece to get that 9 3/8. Hey, before I go any further, I want to know, it's really important to get these inside, or wherever you're going to be installing them, well before you end up doing it. They will move a little bit. It's cold here right now. It's like 28 degrees. So get these inside. Read up on what it says. 48 hours, a week, whatever it might be. Get them inside, let them acclimate, then start doing your work. Okay, when you get your pieces cut, we'll get them fitted together here. Just make sure our gap is tight there. Okay. I'll get my nosing up here. And I already have these pre-cut. This one will have to go last because it's going to have to fit up to my next piece. So I feel good about that. I have a small gap there at the back. Okay, nosing looks good where it's at. I'm able to fit everything nice and tight. And like I said, I nail and glue everything. So I'll show you what I do for that. Okay, so the bottom of this is it's real slick. So adhesive's not going to want to grab to it real well. This is 60 grit sandpaper. And I'll just rough up the bottom here, just enough to give it something to grab onto, and get all through there. Doesn't need to be too crazy, but rough it up so it has something to grab to. Okay, once that feels rough, kind of wipe off the excess here. Make sure you're using a glue that'll work with what you're using. This is good for plastic, so it'll do the trick on here. So we'll take this, cut the end off. Okay. Come in here, poke our hole. Slide it in and add some adhesive down in there. This is actually, they call it paneling wood and foam molding, but it's good for plastics. One of the few that was good for plastics. Gorilla Glue would probably work great too, if you get the right stuff. Okay. I'm going to flip it, slide it over, use my nosing to kind of set how far back it needs to sit. Okay, you're going to have a riser here, and the nosing is going to cover this edge. So once I get this nosing where I think it looks good, which is right about there, I'll take the nail gun closest to this edge here because it's covered. Drive a nail, drive a nail, drive a nail. Okay, this edge will also be covered by the riser, so I can hit one towards the back. Same idea, towards the back, and towards the back. Okay. That's in there good. That's going to hold. And I'll let the adhesive set up. And then we can come in with our riser. There, give you a nice finished look. Maybe try to stay off this step if you can for a little while till that adhesive sets up. Okay, before I attach this nosing here and these corners here, I'm going to go ahead and do this riser because I'm going to need to cut this back slightly for where it's at. Okay, this riser is going to take this whole face. That will have to be cut back. Looks like, again, my pieces are 7.5 inches, and we're going to be 7 1/8 there, and 7 1/8, 7 1/8. Looks good. Okay, make sure there's nothing sticking out on the face. And I'll go make my 2 cuts. I got to cut off for these pieces here. I'll be making 2 cuts. I got to take both. I got to take this tongue off here, this tongue, and then I'll cut it down to my 7 1/8. Okay, notice I got my riser cut here. Now I want to make sure that I'm flush all the way down. So I'm pretty pleased with this piece there. We'll repeat again, and this again, the glue is about not having creaky stairs. Okay, you don't want these things moving. So I'll sand the bottom, and yeah, you're going to use a lot of glue. There's a lot of things to remember on this, but you'll make some mistakes, I'll make some mistakes. We'll get it done and have a pretty good final product here. Okay, we got that roughed up. Here's our glue again. On the risers here, you'll have nails that you'll want to fill. You just get some gray putty and you'll never see them. Even without filling them, you'll barely see them. But if you're a perfectionist, then get some putty, fill those bad boys in, it'll look good. Okay, we're looking good there. I cut this nose back more than the riser because I don't want it sticking out at all. So you see a little gap there, but it's not going to hurt anything. Okay, we get our nail gun. Just 4 nails to hold it in place. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll attach this nosing. Same thing, I'll have it glued. And then I will inch up on this small 45 till I get a perfect fit. So you want to see where you know, where this is going to sit, I'm going to go ahead and do a decent bead right in here because I know it won't squeeze out. And then on this bottom lip that's going to sit on the face of that, real light, I just don't want it squeezing out and having to clean that up. Yeah, you'll go through a lot of glue doing it this way, but you also are going to have some pretty solid stairs. You'll be happy with that final product there. Okay, we're in there. Try to pay attention to where you're nailing. You don't want it coming out the face of this riser that we have here. So I'll go ahead and do 4 on these. Okay, we'll let that set up. I'm gonna come in on this piece till I get it as tight as I can in that gap, and whatever's left, we'll just have it filled in. Okay, that fit there is pretty good. Pretty tight fit. Any gaps I have in here, I'll come through with some filler. Fill those in, make those look nice and clean. Then we just have these to deal with. We'll do the best we can with those. A little bit of sanding, and I'll get some PVC trim. Put right in there. That looks pretty dang good. This nosing is not for these, not exactly for these steps. So what I'm going to do, there's a tiny gap there. I'm going to come through with clear silicone and hit that little gap just to close that up. But the rest looks pretty sharp there. Okay, we'll rinse and repeat that process on the next one. Okay, this is an important point here. I think it's pretty rare that you're going to find all the stairs to be perfect right where you need them. So there's my line for my nosing, okay? And if I were to go and measure this gap back here, I have 1 7/8 on that side, and I have about 2 1/8 here. So you got a difference of 1/4 of an inch. So the way that I will do this is I got my piece here at the same width, and from the face I'm going to measure 1 13/16 over here, and that's because I want a little bit of a gap. Okay, so I got my mark there. And we said 2 1/8 there. So I'll come over here and I'll measure 2 1/16. 2 1/16. So that's my line. I'll take it over to the, I'll do this on the table saw, but I'll freehand it without the fence. Okay, I got my mark. Got my mark there. And I've got my mark there. I'm gonna hold this guy down, or get a straight edge, but I'm gonna hold this guy down. Okay, double check it. So I'm at 1 and a little less than 7/8, and then here we're at 2 1/16. So that line looks good. I'm gonna go make this cut. Okay, we'll get these fit together here. See how we did.